and take you away. But I'm hoping that you won't go with him, that you refuse, that you say, no, this quarantine thing for the piggy flu, not happening, not doing it, not going. Sorry, Buster Brown. Put away that baton. Just a couple more of these local articles, because I didn't even get through all. I told you, this is a national, it's really an international program, but it's going on all over our great land, our once just awesome country. I mean, we were it. We were the cat's pajamas, folks. What happened? What's that? Who's just laughing at me? He's like, I can't believe you just used the cat's pajamas, man. That's over with. That ended in the 80s. Did you really just use that terminology?
I thought it was the cat's meow.
I think it's the cat's pajamas and the cat's meow, my friend. Anyway, hospitals throughout New Jersey have spent this week practicing in case swine flu returns with a vengeance in the hall. One Burlington County facility held an emergency drill. 40 employees at Virtua Memorial in Mount Holly lined up with scripts in hand. See, it's a script. It's a script. This is an international script. They're letting everybody know how it's going to go down before it does, so they can prep you for the quarantines, for the mass vaccinations, for the end of America. Okay? Scott in Washington. Scott, you're on the air.
Yeah, Jason, there's a couple of things, but what I wanted to ask you, what, if anything, do you know about the Kaiser Foundation?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with my good friend Max Kaiser, does it?
No.
Okay,
but
good.
The reason that I was asking that question, because I was debating one of these fools on their online progressive shows about the health care bill, and she's one of these activists. And so anyway, she suggested that I go to the Kaiser Foundation website, which, they're supposedly, quote-unquote, a health care advocacy thing, but they're really a government HMO-type company.
Okay.
And one of the things that I was debating her about was the fact that they had planned on cutting over $600 billion out of Medicare. So anyway, you go to their foundation thing. Plus, I found out some other stuff about them being linked for-profit HMOs like Kaiser, Permanente, and stuff. But anyway, you go to their site, and they talk about H.R. 3200 in specific. Now, you remember the talking point that there were all these different bills that were out there. Well, this is the one that they talk about in specific. And they talk about the fact that they wanted to increase the Medicaid rolls for people who were eligible for Medicaid to go on there. But, of course, now if you read in the bill, I think it's page 102 that says that anyone who was eligible for Medicaid was automatically going to be dumped on to this so-called public option, whether they wanted to or not. But the big hypocrisy now is in their own talking points memo. Now, they've got at least two of them out there. One is a 5-page, one is a 10-page one. Mm-hmm. Now, there's two hypocrisies in the 5-page one. The first paragraph of the 5-page one says that in the first year, they plan on cutting at least 20% of Medicare payments to doctors and then subsequent amounts over the next year. And then when you go down further in this talking page memo, remember how they were saying that businesses with payrolls of $250,000 annually or less would be exempted from the tax?
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go right down in the same paragraph, it talks about a so-called tax credit, a 50% tax credit, if you're a business who has 10 employees with an average of at least $20,000 or less per person for salary. Now, excuse me, if you get a tax credit, now that implies that there's a liability to begin with in the first place. You can't have a tax credit unless you're offsetting a liability. So there in itself, in their own talking points memo, is the whole hypocrisy right there.
Well, you know what? They use so much of this double think and this double speak, and just watching some of these town hall meetings this week, and I thank you for the call, Scott. I have to watch President Barack Obama just tell everybody, look, these death panels aren't real. When the media reports on these things, they say, that the president is defending and the administration is defending. They never say that the death panels are false. Now, I don't know exactly what's going to be passed by the Senate if it gets through, because, again, the House bill is always different from the Senate bills, and I'm pretty sure right now there are 3 separate bills. But what captivated me the most is while he's sitting there lying to people, he steps up and he says, look, there are people on the right that are just going to vote against this bill because they're partisan. which is correct. There are people that just, it's exactly right. I mean, they went to these tea parties, for instance, because Barack Obama's bad because he's a Democrat. Okay, they have no idea. They hear the term socialist and they just jump on the bandwagon. They don't know how bad it really is or what the modus operandi are. Okay. But then he says, now there are those people who are for small government. He goes, these people criticize the Bush administration. They criticized my administration. These people have a real legitimate gripe. He actually said that. They have a legitimate gripe. He goes, they are under the belief that government should be small, it should stay out of personal lives, and that basically we should just stay out of their business. He's like, I just happen to disagree with those people. And he moved on. See, he knows how to control an audience so well. And yes, he's very good at reading off a teleprompter, but he's also very good at relating to people and sounding intelligent while he does so. And that is definitely a major advantage over our last president. I hate to admit it, but it's true. Roger in Maine. Roger, you're on the air.
Hello, Jason.
Yes, sir.
Roger in Maine. It's so great to talk to you. And if Alex is listening, I just wanted to let you folks know I listen to you on a daily basis. I drive a bus to and from Boston, Mass. every day. Listen to your iPod, and just wanted to share with folks, don't give up on family members that aren't on board with the New World Order and everything that you and Alex talk about. My son woke me up to you folks in the New World Order probably a couple of years ago.
Excellent.
He runs a site called theatlanteanconspiracy.com. I don't know if I can put a plug in for him, but
sure.
If I could share one little thing on his behalf, I was such a hard nut to crack as a family member. So don't give up on family members, those of you that say family is the hardest to talk to. My son shared with me loose change, or tried to, and I didn't talk to him probably for 2 months because I couldn't believe that if it wasn't on the mainstream media, it must not be true. I was such a diehard, 24/7 hardcore junkie on news. It took my wife, and God bless my wife, after probably 2 months of me not talking to my son, my wife, in tears, was saying, he's only your son. He's not trying to tell you to believe in this stuff. He just wants to share with you what he's learning. And between my wife and my son, he woke me up, and I am all over the place telling people, anyone that will give me an ear on the bus, because I have a captive audience, I share. So I just wanted to give a little...
Well, let me say this. I used to ride the bus to work. And, I take an hour trip every day from Oneonta to Cooperstown. And a lot of those people on that bus were my captive audience. They would start small talk with me, and I would say this. And I remember one of the firefighters was just mad at me for even bringing it up, man. He used to get off at the fire station every year. I'm a bad person. But the actual bus driver, who was a World War II veteran, I gave him a copy of Loose Change. And I gave it to him over the weekend. I gave it to him on a Friday, and I came back on Monday, and I kind of let the bus die out, and I started talking to him. I said, so did you watch that film? And he's like, oh, I watched it. He's like, I've definitely got my questions now. And, I've talked to some of my other military and intelligence buddies who were back in the CIA and the FBI in the 60s and 70s. And they always told me, you wouldn't believe what we're, really involved in behind the scenes. And he said, after seeing this, well, I can believe it. And I got to ask you, was Loose Change, did you eventually watch the film? Is that what initially woke you up?
The thing that actually woke me up is Loose Change. And then I've seen almost everything that you and Alex have put out. And it's fantastic.
Well, Roger, keep it up, my man. Just keep it up.
On the bus, what I do is talk to people in the front seat purposely, because I do have a captive audience where I could get on the microphone, but I'd lose my job if I did that.
I hear you. Hey, every small step counts, and I thank you so much for calling in and letting people know that your son can reach you, and that not to give up on family members, because I had that same thing. A lot of my friends who I do consider family, it took years and years and years for them to even look at my material, and sometimes they still don't even look at it. Let me give you a case in point, and we'll go to Mike in Illinois in just a moment. My friend Jay, he's a high-level Mason. I went to school with him. We pledged together in college, and he's of the libertarian mindset. He listens to Michael Savage. It took him forever to watch the original Loose Change, the second edition, and then the final cut. When he did, his ground was shook. I had showed him some things individually on an alumni weekend a couple years before that. He immediately told me, never show me this stuff again. I don't ever want to see this. I don't even want to talk about it. His face was beet red. It looked like he physically wanted to assault me. This is a big guy. He's 6'4", over 300 pounds, probably crush my little head. You know what I mean? I not want to fight the guy, and I love him to death. So just last week, I sent him a little package with Fabled Enemies included, and I'm hoping he watches that, because I think that will, it will take him from the level of, yes, there's some problems with 9/11. I'm not there on an inside job yet, to, oh my God, this is an international intelligence operation that spans many countries and many agencies. And this is really, a worldwide globalist attack, and that's what this is about. And I'm hoping that's what he's going to get out of it. I could call him later this week and see if he popped that DVD in. But I never give up, I know I've reached him on some level. I was at his house while I was in Philadelphia with some of my other fraternity brothers and just getting laughed at. I mean, I'm getting laughed at in my face when I'm telling them that their pensions aren't safe. I'm getting laughed at when I tell them that Pakistan and Israel both had roles in 9/11. And I'm like, hey, man, the proof is in the pudding. Go check out my work. Let's go to Mike in Illinois. Mike, you're on the line.